If you all ready? Carl?
Ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 11th, 2023 Murraysville Planning Commission meeting. Will please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please call the roll.
Mr. Lemke? Ms. Hoy?
Here.
Mr. Midal?
Here.
Mr. Patrick?
Here.
Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mr. Kearns? Mr. Levecki?
Here.
Okay, we have minutes from March 14th. Any comments or corrections to the minutes as presented?
Yeah, Mike,
Last,
go
I have
ahead.
one
Jen.
comment. Last paragraph, first page, second line, should be 5 instead of give.
That's right.
Anything else?
No.
Have a motion to approve the minutes then as corrected.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now we have a period for public comment on the agenda. Anyone in the public wish to bring something to the attention of the Planning Commission? Yes, sir. Could you use the microphone, please?
Good evening. My name's Mike Tometsko. I live at 4250 Westertown Road. I wanted to comment on the proposed development across the street from where I live that's going to be discussed this evening. I have 3 concerns with that development. One is the traffic that will be increased on Westertown Road. 2, the electricity. Our power grid is not the best out there. We are often without power. We lost power for over a day just recently with these last storms. We're often on a generator. And the third is we have well water, and just what will happen with the water table when that development occurs. From a traffic standpoint, the proposal that was put forth before has the main drive of this plan with all the traffic coming in front of our house. If there's going to be 25 homes, 2 cars per household, you're looking at 36,000 plus trips per year on that road. That doesn't count deliveries, service vehicles for landscaping, and other things of that nature. So our quiet home, that's a historical landmark really in Murraysville, it's the Walter Farmhouse that my wife and I renovated, will have that peacefulness disturbed by the amount of traffic that's there. That road's already heavily trafficked from the park. All the sports have picked up now, so there's a lot of traffic on that road. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of cyclists. I think all that extra traffic puts a lot of people at risk. There's not really a place for pedestrians to walk on that road. A lot of people walk from the park to the conservancy that's there. So I think there's some issue there from a safety standpoint. I think it would be, in my family's best interest if the entrance to that development was moved further down Westertown Road, closer to the park, to try to eliminate some of that traffic flow in front of our house. The speed limit's 35. Had a fella today who was at least going 55 on that road when my wife was out walking the dog. So the extra traffic creates for a big safety issue there. I don't think that road is meant to handle that kind of traffic. Most of those people want to go to Murraysville and Route 22. So if you put that entrance closer to Farm Road or MCP, it would eliminate probably close to 36,000 cars in front of my house a year or more. We have that amphitheater that's probably going to go in, which is more traffic on a country road. I just hope that a lot of this is being taken into consideration when planning the future of Murraysville. You know, outside of moving that entrance, you know, another solution could be putting in some sort of, you know, pedestrian or cyclist pathway when this new development gets put in, for at least the safety of the people who are going to be walking and riding on that road. The equipment will be there, you know, from an excavating standpoint. I think that the land that's there, there's enough space to accomplish something like that. You know, I've had cyclists pushed off the road into my yard and injured from cars over the years. I've lived there since 2008. You know, I've had to administer first aid more than once. So I just think it's something that needs to be taken into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I note that Mr. Thomas had to go send an email to my attention today. That was made part of the record.
Yes, we have, that's what we have here. Thank you. Okay, new business is the advisory concerning the proposed conceptual plan for a 25-lot subdivision on Road and Hilty Road, RR zoning. Will you give us your name? Do we have anything we're going to put up on the screen? That's it?
No, I'll flip through some slides. I'm Brian Metzler with T3 Global Strategies. I'm representing Paul Fishone, who's the property owner on this property. I want to thank you tonight for allowing us some time to speak. Like I think you mentioned, this is an advisory meeting. We've been before you before. At that point, we were pursuing a rezoning request on this property that, you know, we went to the Board of Supervisors and basically that did not proceed. I don't know that it was officially denied, but we're here tonight because, you know, our intention is still how it's been on this property to develop it. And we're looking to pursue a by right development with the potential of conditional use for some minor grading activities for roadways and potentially houses. So the tax parcel is basically a combination of two tax parcels that Paul has bought in two separate times, consisting of 33 acres, and it's currently zoned RR. So the plan that we're presenting tonight has 25 dwelling units. We understand, you know, that we have to make sure we meet those ordinance, and, you know, really this is our kickoff to start that process. We're gonna, you know, design this, submit per your ordinance, and, you know, several items that we will get to you. So Paul Fishone, like I said, is the property owner. This is some background just on him that we've presented in the past, so I kept it in the slide show. But essentially, you know, what Paul's looking to do is live in this neighborhood, build a home that he's gonna live his days out and enjoy the community that he builds around him. I think there's some details. The first tract was 30 acres that he acquired in 2013. And in 2021, he added the additional almost 24 acres. So basically, this was a process that we've kind of been through. Paul has worked with my firm and some other consultant firms. He's done extensive work on delineating the wetlands that are out there, talking to the DEP, the Conservation District, so understanding what he can do and can't do with the land as far as environmental perspective. So, I mean, basically, where we are tonight, these are just a couple images of the land. It's fairly heavy wooded. It has some water courses through it, and, you know, has access and frontage on Westertown Road, and then a small amount of frontage on Hilty Road. So Paul's goal has not changed throughout this whole process. He wants a community that has a high quality of life and consists of luxury homes. He's always wanted an acre plus lots. The plan tonight is 1.5 acre, with many of them getting larger, close to 2 acres, and some, you know, 4.5 acres. So it's high-quality housing and a low-density development. I think when we were looking at the rezoning, the goal, it wasn't to get 50, 60 homes. I think we were 28 total, a little bit closer to that acre, but, a little bit tighter, more compact to help from the footprint of the infrastructure without losing the quality of the home. The other thing that Paul has really wanted to do is have homes that back up to natural area and not rear-to-rear condition for houses. So, during it, we've kind of presented some of the architecture. We anticipate the lot prices in here are going to be, 250,000 plus. Home packages are going to be, well into the millions, starting in the lower end of the million range. This is actually a sample architecture of what Paul's looking to build himself in the neighborhood. So I think what you'll see here, high quality, a lot of roof line, and the other thing, a lot of, flexibility with the foundation. So when we're setting these homes on sites, we could have walkout basements and we could build homes that match the land more so than coming in and flattening the land out. So our intent, this is just a little amenity, but the proximity of the park, I think, was actually even mentioned earlier. We see that as a value amenity, why people want to be in this location. And then this is the site on your zoning map. Everything, our site, everything in green around it is zoned RR. So, it's within your existing zoning conditions for RR. Basically just an aerial view of where the site falls. We have the park. I think the gentleman that spoke earlier, his home site's here. And I'll get into that a little bit more because we did pay some attention to the entrance and siting it with that house. So, okay, so here's the plan today. We are looking at one entrance off of Westertown Road. The existing home is somewhere in this area, so we actually moved the road up the hill a little bit so that lights and whatnot of cars leaving our development wouldn't be shining directly at that home. I think there was a question about moving the entrance towards the park, some issues, topo steep, and there's an existing water course that ends right about this point. So we have a window to fit an entrance in. So the one thing that will be required from Murraysville of us will be to submit a traffic impact study. So we will engage a qualified traffic engineer to study the traffic counts, the impacts that our development will have on that site. That'll be, I think, our next step in this process will be tentative and final land development and subdivision approval. So we will do a complete submittal per your ordinance would be the next step that you see from us. Going through, we've kind of sited our houses and working our houses into the land. Where we're at today, we have the sketch plan. We believe we can meet all the lot acreages. We have gathered the information to have a full topographic survey of the site done with LiDAR. We got that data in before the trees came out in leaves, but we're not done processing it. So the next stuff that we will submit will be off of field run and aerial acquired imagery. So, that being said, every acre on this meets your acre and a half. We have a couple flag lots, which I believe you allow one per block. So we were doing that to creatively site our houses where it makes sense. So, tonight we anticipate this is pretty much what we'll submit unless, something doesn't meet 100% your ordinance as we're going through design. We'll tweak it to make sure that we do. Other things that always come up on these sites are stormwater management. What we will do is we'll have all the stormwater from our proposed public roads treated in what I'm calling a regional facility, infiltration basin or something of that nature. And then the homes, being an acre and a half, will have on-site stormwater treatment for the individual houses. Our intent of permitting it will be to get our NPDES permits for the roadways, for that pond, and basically prove to Murraysville how each house can be developed within your grading ordinance, but we are not going to pull a grading permit to go in and clear cut the site and grade it all at once. So Paul will get the roads in and probably permit the home sites he wants to live in. But then the other ones will need permitted individually by the custom builder or person who ends up acquiring those lots. Just the next slide. This is kind of the topo we are dealing with. Everything in green is less than the 25%. I have not weeded this out. Some things in your ordinance say if you have little tiny strips, that still doesn't really qualify as steep slopes, but the math of figuring it out, we showed exactly what's out there. So some of these areas where we cross this, and I know the slope's a little steeper, might be what puts us into the conditional use process as opposed to a straight by right zoning. But really tonight we're here just to get you familiar with the project, let you know that it'll be coming in, within the next few months or so, and just if there's any feedback or anything you'd like to share. I mean, we've heard loud and clear that the traffic is an issue, so we will have that study done and performed. Something within your ordinance and everything is the geotech for the soil conditions, rock, landslides. We will have a evaluation done by a geotechnical engineer along with our submittal, and we'll have the stormwater plans and calculations. So really tonight, I'd like to answer any questions or anything that could help you or help guide us along the process.
Gentlemen, any questions, or lady, the seeing eye down there? Any questions for the applicant's engineer? Any comments on this?
What's your anticipated time frame? What's your vision for the scope of this?
I mean, really, Paul wants to go. I think he's been working on this for years. I think there were some delays in COVID and slowed down. But really, we have the topo, we'll have it done, and it'll, design time will probably take, I'd say, 2 months, just getting put on the spot, and then we'll get that application in. I would assume, we'd come back to Planning Commission. So really, I mean, we're ready to go on it. We want to push it forward.
Do you have any of the lots sold at this point?
Yeah, we'll have all that done for the initial submittals. We will come in with a complete package. Short, unless something comes up that is out of the ordinary than what we anticipate, we may call staff and say, hey, here's what we're looking at to, keep them informed. But other than that, it's, as long as nothing crazy comes out, we're ready to go.
You're aware that that's a high-quality watershed?
Yes.
Jim, how long has our application for the park been in to DEP?
Year?
Yeah, high-quality watersheds are individual permits, so, you're not just the conservation district, you're at the DEP.
Right. So you're aware. Gentlemen, could you get into, where on there, do you have a pointer?
Yeah.
Where's the gentleman that spoke? Where's his driveway about?
It's about where this saddle is in the existing topo.
Okay.
I think I had this slide further zoomed out. Our entrance is there, his house is in that area.
And why can you not move the entrance further down the hill?
Basically, from this point all the way up to where his clearance starts is a jurisdictional watercourse. It's been defined by our consultant. So, anything we do there is another general permit for a second crossing. We have one crossing proposed right now of a watercourse. That would be 2, and, the first thing is, you're aware this is high quality, it's an individual permit, is alternatives analysis. So the DEP is going to say, okay, why are you crossing this stream twice? And if we have to say, oh, well, we have 1,000 feet up here where we could put a road, but we put it on top of a stream, we'll never get that through the DEP. Basically that process, you have to show how you're protecting the environment. So, we've been through it, and the one crossing's permittable because we don't have any other way to access that land, so they will allow that.
You have one lot on Hilty?
Yes, this lot actually has frontage on Hilty, but we left
No.
portions of it.
No, down the bottom.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, one lot that only has frontage off of Hilti.
Accessible only by Hilti?
Yes, that's correct.
And the one on the top,
The one on top has its required frontage along Westertown Road, but we left enough room for them to get a driveway so that we didn't have to put a connection onto Westertown.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions at this point?
No, nope.
You're just starting down the long road.
Yeah, it's a process, and I mean, the rules are here for a reason, and we're here to follow them and, make this the best community that.
It's your intention to put the roads and utilities in for the whole plan?
I believe we might phase it. So if we came in, we'd probably do this first road and cul-de-sac, and we might do this one at a later date, just to, limit the size of the construction at the beginning and, see how the lots are selling and whatnot. But it would be permitted 100%, and we'd do, a phase-in plan within our construction sequence for the project.
This is all going to be public water and sewer.
Yes, public water and sewer. I think that could solve some problems up here with well, because we're going to be bringing utilities to this site. So there would be opportunities for them to connect if they'd like. I also didn't dive into the power. I heard that earlier. We've talked with West Penn Power. They said that they would service this site. They didn't see any issues. Obviously they didn't admit.
They never do.
Yeah, they didn't admit to me if they have problems that they've had in the past, but they said that we definitely can be serviced.
Okay. You have any questions for us, sir?
I don't believe so. I think Jim's kind of educated us of the process, and we have your ordinance. So what I'm keying in on is transportation, really the geotech and the stormwater are big items, so we're going to hit that and make sure we address those with our submittal. If there's anything else, that maybe I'm not aware of, that you want to give us a heads up, we'll take any advice, definitely.
Mr. Morrison, this is a straight subdivision in an RR district, so this is a use by, it's a permitted use.
That's correct. Conditional use may apply depending on the impact on the steep slope.
Yes. Nothing else? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate the time.
thanks.
Okay, old business. Consider a recommendation on the proposed ordinance regulating injector wells.
I included in the Dropbox a revised ordinance based on the comments that were made at the last meeting. And I've also included two maps, one that shows the B districts buffered by 250 feet, and 500 feet. And I also did some calculations and presented them in the Excel spreadsheet, which now.
Where do we find this information?
Wells.
Injection wells? I see the ordinance.
This spreadsheet of all the properties, Jim, what, these are the properties that are adjoining,
These are the properties that are zoned B.
oh, they're in the business district, okay.
So there's a parcel number, the number of acres, the address, and the owner. What I did was I marked off two areas there. One is the first 22 properties are 10 acres or more if the Planning Commission desired to require a minimum or minimum acreage for the development. And the second delineation is for properties greater than 5 acres. The reason I did that was I made the assumption that if there was a parcel of ground and the injector well was put in the middle of that particular parcel, they would need a lot 500 by 500, which is, when you divide it out, comes to a little over 5 acres. So the list of properties, the first 52 properties, have the potential to have a 250-foot setback from the well. And then the top 22 properties are a minimum of 10 acres.
Where are you
The
finding that?
250-foot setback, as I said, represents 51 properties. 250,000 square feet is 5.73 acres. That represents 8%
This is the,
B-zone properties.
yeah, that's the parcels, right?
500-foot setback would require 1 million square feet or 23 acres. There's 5 B-zone properties representing 1.2%. This exercise was done to test exclusivity.
So we have plenty of parcels that would fly here, that this could be done on. And I guess our goal is, what are the setbacks and what's the minimum lot size?
That's correct. And the other things that I had added to the ordinance, which are in blue. I guess going through this exercise, what became apparent to me was, in comparison to the Marcellus wells, that this is actually an industrial activity as versus a Marcellus well, which is a defined period of an industrial activity. This will be an industrial activity for the life of it because of the number of trucks going in and out of the site. So some of the things that were added to the ordinance was to protect that. The well pad is proposed to be fenced with evergreen plantings at certain spacing. The impact on the adjacent properties, given what we know from the information available, versus the well water, things like that. So those items were included in there. There's reference in the ordinance to the subdivision and land development ordinance, because this is a land development, and there were additional studies placed in there required of the applicant to verify what they're dealing with before they come in there, during the activity, and post-activity.
And Jim, what you have in there, I saw a lot of blue in the revised ordinance, revised proposed ordinance. That's consistent with what's required by the state and any other regulatory agencies?
Right now, the state doesn't control the permitting. EPA does.
Okay.
Although I understand the state is taking a look at it now.
Yeah, I think they want primacy.
Yeah. So I would guess that when we pass this ordinance, probably a couple months later, EPA will come in and say, no, no to this, no to that, and we'll have to rewrite the ordinance. At least we'll have something on the books to start with.
Yeah, and it's, actually, it's much more complete now.
Of the 22 or so properties in that top section, is there anything that might be feasible for them to put an injector well on?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm saying like
What is apparent?
rolling fields, right? I doubt they're going to put one on
Yeah.
a golf course.
What is apparent is most of those have active businesses on it
Right.
right now. I would think The Mills property is vacant, the Walnut property is vacant. Belmont Terminals has gas tanks on. Bushy Run is the Hustings development on Manor Road. MSA has a building on it. Respironics has a building on it. The Angels Allen Midas property, I'm not sure of the stack. Vankovic's property up off of 380, I would think. Walmart, Cleveland Brothers, Cornerstone. Don't know about the McCullough, but it's on Dunnet Lane. I would say that's farmland. Junior Hall property is vacant. Wookiees is vacant. Beacon, I'm not sure. Pyres, I believe it's vacant. APVA is vacant. Rolling Fields is a golf course. Not sure about Vesuvix. That might be part of the industrial park, and then, of course, Respironics. So, but
It's not, yeah, not unfeasible, I guess.
just like any other business that comes in, you acquire property if you want to develop it.
And you can always buy a piece
Money
of property
talks.
that has a building or a use on it and
You acquire it.
acquire it.
Everybody has a price.
I see that the Hermes people have started demolition of that little house there on the corner.
Yes, they have. That decision was appealed,
What decision was appealed?
the Hermes decision.
Who appealed it?
PT, Tech PT.
Okay.
So they're moving at their own risk. They began demolition of the house, and they've begun clearing and excavating for the access road to the interconnect.
Yeah.
You said it's being appealed to whom, to where?
It'll go to Common Pleas, then it'll go to Commonwealth, then it'll go to the Supreme Court. Just like the last one.
And the last one, they didn't win on that one either, did they? What makes this one different?
It has less quality points of appeal in it. It's a pretty bad appeal.
Okay.
So what's the next step on this, Jim?
On this injection well,
Yeah.
if you find that it meets what you believe it should incorporate, then it will make a recommendation to council and it'll go to public hearing.
So, the question is, the parcel size is 5-10 acres
And the setback from the
and the
well,
setback
from the well.
from the,
The well to
Boundary.
whatever. If it's from the well, 250 feet, it'll be from the well bore to 250 feet. From the well bore, 500 feet.
500 feet to what?
To their boundary.
Oh, you're just saying to the boundary, not to a protected structure. We're not getting into distances from protected structures at all.
Well, that's why I had those other two maps produced. If you notice,
Yeah.
Page 3, I think it is, Jim.
the red area is B-zone properties, and the light blue area is 250 feet from the property line.
Okay.
If you go with a minimum of 10 acres, the setback, I think, will be less of an
Less of an issue.
right,
So if you said 10 acres and 250 feet,
right.
that might be a reasonable number. Would it be wise to also have another number in there to a protected structure?
We can. And what that number would be. I think in the Marcellus, I think it's 750 feet
Yes.
to a protected structure, which also has a provision in there that the protected structure can waive that setback.
But here's, I'm just throwing this out. So this is an industrial activity. Obviously, we want to protect adjacent homes, but what about adjacent businesses where the people are subject to whatever would be deemed hazardous going on there?
Well, that's one of the issues that I think we're all aware of in our zoning ordinance. We don't have an industrial zone in Murraysville. Everything's lumped into the B district. So you run the risk of an injection well being next to a mining facility. But there are hours regulating the activity in the proposed ordinance. I think once the well's drilled, it's like a trucking facility. Just vehicles going in and out.
Well, other than the obvious, there's always a potential for a spill or whatever going on there, and there are going to be storage tanks.
No different than the gas line that's ruptured behind,
Yeah.
what's the name of that? Walnut Hollow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, does everybody think that 10 acres and 250 feet is are good numbers?
Is 500 feet too much? Is that,
Yeah, 250 feet or 200 feet is not very much. That's,
Less than a football field.
you can spit that far.
At least I used to be.
Well, for a 500-foot setback, if you have a perfectly square lot and the well in the middle, you need 22, almost 23 acres of ground. So that would be 1, 2,
1,000.
3, 4, 5 properties,
1,000.
unless you acquire adjacent properties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess what's racing through my mind is from the municipality's standpoint, what is advantageous to the municipality while at the same time we're protecting the residents or protecting the businesses? And what would be considered acceptable? I mean, that is, who determines, if we said, okay, we want 500 feet, so that they got to have 22 acres, so if that's our ordinance, then what?
Are you referring to exclusivity?
Yeah, I think Jim's point is if you make the numbers so large to protect the citizenry, then you eliminate all the parcels.
With a 500-foot setback, there would be 5 zoned properties in the B district, and that would represent 1.2% of the property in the municipality of Murraysville.
So what's the metric? I mean,
Is that
does it have to be?
Never been tested. We went with the Marcellus. I think it was between 8 and 10%.
I guess, when you think of the nature of this industry, what prevents us from going for a 1 or 2%?
It's all subject to challenge. I don't know that there is a magic number, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, it comes down to the great debate on what the setback should be. Some people thought that it should be 2,500 lineal feet. The state, I think, is 500 feet.
Yep.
The council decided on 750 as a reasonable number, and that was thought by some to be completely too low. So, you pick a number and takes your chances.
I guess what's going through my mind is, and I think when you started out, Jim, you brought to our attention the fact that this is truly an industrial operation. It's ongoing. Whereas when you have a Marcellus operation, it's industrial for a period of time, and then now it's a quiet the thing just sits there quietly and sogs. So I wouldn't be troubled to put a more conservative number on it.
It's not been tested. I would say the lower the number, the greater the chance it's going to be contested. I would think that even with the 250-foot setback, it could be challenged.
So, okay, so it's challenged. I mean, what's the process?
The challenge would be that it's excluded from the ordinance, and it would be permitted.
Yeah, you've created an exclusionary ordinance that prohibits the use of,
The court will find that throw the ordinance out, and you have no regulation at all at that point.
Oh, so you're saying it's all or nothing? Okay. So there's a risk there, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's helpful to know.
Is there a risk that it's limiting it to business? Is there a risk to being challenged?
Sure.
Yeah, so everything.
Well, to the B district, I feel a lot more comfortable with that challenge because I think certainly the case could be made that it's an industrial use.
Yeah, that's right.
it's a processing plant.
Yeah.
And
That doesn't concern me limiting to the B district.
so,
And in itself, in Murraysville in general, the amount of B properties that are available, even for typical business development, are not that great.
no, there aren't. I mean, all you have to do is look at the map there.
Yeah,
Well, if we have, let's say some precedent with a 750 for Marcellus operation, why wouldn't that fly for this?
As far as the setback is concerned, well, I think that's why the sign-off was incorporated in the ordinance, where you could get the property owners to sign off.
Okay.
Give him a bushel basket full of money and he'll sign.
Okay, so what if we did the same thing here?
I think potentially it works, but I really think that if you get down to 5 properties, you're just inviting a challenge. And of those 5 properties, let's see what I say, you need 30 acres.
Well, let me turn that a little bit. What would happen, Ed, if you made it 5 acres, 250 feet from a boundary, and 750 feet from a protected structure?
Well, if you make it 250 feet from the boundary, you get that map.
You what?
You get the map that I showed you.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you also have to be 750 feet from a protected structure with the right to buy a waiver.
Well, the trouble then is you're encroaching on residential areas. You're not just encroaching on business use.
Say that again?
The 250 feet from the boundary of
Yes.
the B district, you're going to be encroaching on residentially zoned properties and mixed-use properties.
No. What I'm saying is, keep 5 acre minimum lot size. The well has to be 250 feet from a boundary. Third condition is it has to be 750 feet from a protected structure,
Unless waived.
unless waived. Everybody understand that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And protected structure is defined, it does include, a structure with walls and a roof where people live or customarily work.
Okay.
When you look at the shapes of these properties, that becomes pretty restrictive too, because some of these are very long, thin.
Yeah, they're not very deep off
Yeah.
of 22 or, well, there's some there on 286 that are a little bit, Or is that 380? That's 380.
This is Rolling
Grade
Fields?
6.
No, Rolling Fields is way back over the hill there. Rolling Fields is
Isn't this Rolling Fields?
where?
Here.
No. Rolling Fields is up there.
Up here?
Yeah.
So what road would this property be on?
Which, 380. It's 380 goes down to Camp Joanne.
The boundary road is 380, and 286 heads southwest to.
Oh, this is Ivankovich's place here.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And the 380 auction is right along here.
yes. And that's the old Cooper's
Here.
trailer place up there.
This is the McElhaney's or whatever it was, gas
that?
station. No, he's over here.
Well, the big square there, I think, is the Woleen property in the mills.
Yeah. Okay, so now, what do you guys want to do? You want to think on this some more before we send it up to council with those limits that I just said?
I mean, there's two sides of the coin. The one side is we're trying to protect the residences, but the other side of that is if you're a property owner, would we be limiting what they could do with their property? I mean, that's a concern also. You know, if somebody has property that's out here that's not maybe buildable with anything else, can you still put an injection well on it even though you have topography? What's the topography issue?
It's the B district.
Are there any issues on slopes or anything with these things?
I would imagine you got to have a flat area to put the tanks.
But you
Have a flat area for the pad.
But you can make a flat area.
How they do for the Marcellus wells.
And you got to be able to get trucks in and out of it safely. With, and since it's all mostly along state roads, it's going to be getting permits from PennDOT. Okay, it's obvious you want to think about this some more.
Well,
For my benefit, Bob, is this kind of like, if that's the well, 250 feet, and then if this is a protected structure, 750?
That's my
And
understanding.
this is five acre parcel.
I think we were saying it's 10 acre.
10 acre.
We're going to make a 10 acre parcel.
For what?
The parcel size, 10 acre.
The parcel size for 10 acre would be a 500 foot from the center of the property to the property line.
Okay. Acres. You guys do this all the time. You live in this fanciful world where everything's squares and rectangles.
Yeah, and it's not.
Well, I thought your comment was it'd be minimum 5 acres, 250 feet to the boundary, and then
Oh, okay, is that what I said, 5 acres?
structure.
Yeah, okay.
So this is 10 acres,
No.
500,
5 acres is what it is right now.
That's what you would propose.
That's what I had proposed, 5 acres.
5 acres, okay.
Sorry, I got confused.
5 acres, 250 to the property line, and 750 to a protected structure.
With the waiver provision.
Yeah.
Do we see the number of properties that would fit that description? Unless you-
5 acres, well, that's 5 acres or I just lost it here.
that second dark row, but we don't know what the protected structure.
Yes, that's correct. That's the 52 properties or 53 properties that have 5 acres.
Well, that's good, that 1% goes up then, right?
Goes to 8%.
Now, I just want to make a comment. Don't get fixated on these 3 numbers. Because there's many more important provisions in this ordinance. You got to envision somebody wanting to put one of these things down on Route 22, and what is this going to look like for generations, as far as landscaping, roads, parking areas, how this thing's going to be used. You really have to think on that end of things.
It becomes a depot, basically.
Yes.
It's a depot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like a warehouse. So.
Well, it probably wouldn't be as intense, but similar to the Sunoco facility up across from Buena Vista,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or the terminal facility out on 286.
Terminal facility on.
I mean, on 66.
On 66, yeah, the
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But the one across from Buena Vista is far more visible. The one on 66, that kind of is a little bit up out of the way.
Okay, so you want Jim to put those numbers in the ordinance, and you guys want to have think about this for another 30 days or whatever before passing it on to council, or what do you want to do here?
Yeah. I would like to look at the other option with a 10-acre option as well.
I'll just leave it blank. You guys can tell me what you want to put in there.
Why don't you put both numbers in?
We're looking at two options, and
No, I'm just saying for draft purposes.
yeah, when you weigh them, you begin to see what the constraints are with this one, and what may be challengeable versus this one. And to me, I'm just thinking that 5 acres and 250 feet, that's pretty generous.
Generous.
Because 250 feet is not very, very much of a distance.
No. Well, you have 22 properties that are 10 acres or more.
Okay, well, that's...
So, does anyone care to make a motion at this point to table this for 30 days, or to pass it on to council with some numbers in it?
Question, Jim, how do you feel about the rest, the ordinance as written, with the addition of all the other, studies, if you will? Because it looks fairly complete.
Yeah, I think it's pretty complete.
There's mention of distances in here throughout, at least in a couple places I just picked up on. But one is 1,000 feet. The owners of any property within 1,000 feet need to be notified 30 days in advance of the final plan or something like that. But my point here is, we're talking distances with other points throughout the ordinance as well too. There may be one or two beyond what we're talking about, but at least there are some. Do we need to take a look at those?
Okay, so what do you want me to do here?
I think there's more definition. You should give some 30 days to hash it out and
Yep.
All right, do
be
you
a
want me
little
to
more
leave it?
definitive at that point.
You want me to leave it as is then, or do you want me to incorporate the 5 acres, 250 and 750?
Incorporate it in and put a question mark by the numbers.
That's fair.
I'll put them in red, how's that?
Yeah, put them in red.
We'll go multicolored.
Red, white, and blue.
All right.
So Bob, I move to table this till the next meeting. And
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, next item is the discussion concerning short-term rental ordinance for the municipality of Murraysburg.
Based on what we talked at the last meeting, I found 2 ordinances of local communities that I thought addressed some of the questions. The Shaler ordinance appears to be permitting the use in residential districts, whereas the Forest Hill ordinance permits it in B district and mixed-use zone districts, which would be my recommendation that we consider those uses in those 2 districts. based on the court decision that we saw last meeting, I think we have some legal standing to do that. I think it just comes down now to the finer points of the ordinance regulating how long they have to register, when they get inspected, what should be on the property, if it's going to be a short-term rental, those types of things. And I thought the Shaler ordinance did a pretty good job of outlining some of that stuff. So what I thought you gentlemen could do, and ladies, this evening, was at least say yay or nay what you liked in the two ordinances, and then I could try to attempt to put a draft together for you to begin to work on.
I cannot seem to find this Shaler ordinance.
It's, wait, here, click on that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Double click on that, yeah.
So there's Airbnbs in Murraysville,
Yes.
Yep.
in the residential areas.
Nothing here.
Yes.
How this ordinance impact them?
Okay, now, double
Well,
click
I would certainly refer that to an attorney.
the folder.
My opinion, Ms. Hoy, would be that they would be illegal based on the Supreme Court decision.
Okay, well.
Municipality could bring suit.
I just double clicked on this and then you had the, here, let me go back and show you.
Either that or they become non-conforming uses.
Then you have the, we go back further.
There's only, what, a couple?
I think it was 7.
One, okay, that was 7.
Here's short-term rental.
I think there was 1 or 2 in the R2 district.
And then it comes up.
Clicking on it and nothing's happening.
And click on this one.
Yeah, we did. We kept clicking on it. Nothing happens.
So Shaler's got short-term rental permits
Here,
for a
now
year,
it is. No, I think it's
Okay, now,
renewed annually.
Lincoln's Ferry.
Have a permit required. I think it's an annual permit. As what the application should incorporate.
This is it?
yeah,
Jefferson, Spring.
no.
As standards for
Gator
the
Township, Forest
structure,
Hills, and
as far as number of people permitted by a bedroom,
Yep.
the overnight stay, the outdoor parking, disturbances identified as a nuisance, posting within the property, which it would have an owner's number to contact 24 hours, 911 address,
back in
trash
314,
pickup,
and you need to be
and
informed
also
before 11.
requirements of the facility as far as smoke detectors, GFI outlets,
Close this folder. Here we go.
fire
Hit
extinguishers,
folder.
swimming pools,
That's what I
stuff
just
like
did.
that.
411.
One thing I read in, I think it was a Shaler one, Jim, was relative to somebody had to live within 10 miles of the place.
Yeah,
I really like that point.
Shaler, yeah.
And they need to have some liability or responsibility to do something when you
Right.
give them a call.
right.
So I don't know how it reads now, but I'd like that point there.
What was that, Jim?
In the Shaler one, there was a clause that basically said, so, presuming that the owner lived out of town, there had to be somebody living within 10 miles of Murraysville
Yeah.
to be able to go kick their butt if we need it.
Okay.
I like that concept.
Okay. Well, then, does everybody like the Shaler ordinance seems to be the most comprehensive of the three that we've looked at. I don't know what the city is proposing down there,
City of Pittsburgh,
city of Pittsburgh.
I think that's DOA.
Well, We don't, but nobody knows what was being proposed there either. But I like the Shaler one because it does seem to be a little more comprehensive. Do you want Jim to prepare one for Murraysville using this as a model?
Yeah.
Is that the consensus of the planning commission?
I think that's the right move.
Seeing eye down there, what do you think?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay.
B and MU districts,
B and MU.
Yeah, the other thing in the Forest Hills, Section 3, it has points that were, direct and to the point, if you will. I would think that these points are already in the Shaler one, but you might want to check on that. I like that Section 3 there.
Okay.
I think bringing them out as individual items also is good.
All right, so we're directing the planning director to prepare a draft ordinance modeled primarily after the Shaler ordinance, but taking a look at other useful provisions in the other two ordinances. Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jane, okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
and I'll see what the legal standing is of the existing.
Say that again?
Might be worth reaching out.
Legal standing of the existing once the ordinance is
Yeah.
passed.
Oh,
There's a few B&Bs in Murraysville. I mean, Airbnbs.
yeah.
Whether they're non-conforming or they would be in violation, would have to shut down.
My understanding they're not legal now.
According to the Supreme Court, they're not.
They're not legal.
Right.
Right,
In a B district, I mean in an R district.
in our district, that's right. Okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Move we adjourn.
We got Caliber Collision.
Who?
Caliber Collision, probably in 2 months coming in. Caliber Collision is a national franchise.
Where do they want to go?
Right behind Mannerdale Farm, between the Dirty Bookstore and the used car lot.
On the same side of the road or the
Mannerdale side.
Mannerdale?
They have 1,600 locations in the United States and 20 technicians per site. They do paint and body work only. Engine work is sent out.
So,
That's right across from Conley's, is right up the road, right?
It would be very close.
Conley's very close.
Yes, yes it is.
That would be our third one.
Only thing we have going Porsches and
Well, people are keeping their cars longer now. I just read an article, the average life of a vehicle is 10 to 12 years, one-time ownership.
I just read an article on the internet about all the cars that people return after less than 1 year.
I did.
So where are they in the process? Are they just starting down the
They're just
road?
starting. They'll probably come for an advisory. They may be ready for,
How big's the parcel?
it's sufficient size. I looked at that. I can't remember right now.
is that where that little place is that does computer
No,
repair?
it's back this way. It's the next lot up. If you're heading east,
Yeah.
the house on the east side of Mannerdale entrance, right behind there,
Oh, wow.
heading east.
Well, they'll be,
That was my first comment to him. You got to get it further away from that property line.
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
wow.
And I told him to come out and look at Conley and Bowser for expectations of what the planning commission would be looking for.
Okay.
Eads is doing the engineering.
I'm sorry, who's doing the engineering?
Eads.
Okay. Anything else in the pipeline?
I think that's it for now.
You know, I was looking, it never hit on me before, but the wet go. Significant difference in grade. Are they cutting that down or are they just ramping up?
Ramping up.
Okay.
What, the interconnector or from Old Wayne Penn?
No, the interconnectors.
Yeah, they're ramping up.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
I will see